slow down a little bit. Down. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, more. Okay. Yeah, keep going. There you go. All right. Okay, I think we're ready, guys. Welcome to the May, what year? 2022 meeting of the Memphis Astronomical Society. I'm your host, Jeremy Veldman. Again, thank you for coming out. We're obviously transitioning back, and we got a good program, I think, for you guys tonight. A very practical program for if you're into looking at things in the night sky, because we've got some pretty interesting events coming up, observationally, not only this month, but for the rest of the year. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. So, but first, a few preliminaries. Of course, we're the Memphis Astronomical Society. You can find us on our website, memphisastro.org, as well as on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube or on Zoom, feel free to chime in anytime if you got any questions. Please subscribe to our channel. And again, thank you for joining us tonight. If you are not on our email list and you'd like to be, just go to our website and click the join button. And of course, that'll bring up a separate form. Just fill out your details and we'll add you to our email distribution list. Or you can go to joinmas.com. And yes, I'd like to take a moment to announce some new members. And I won't put you on the spot tonight because it's a little dark, but I do want to acknowledge you. So Mary, I'm probably going to butcher some of these names, so I apologize. If you are here tonight and I say your name incorrectly, please call me out. All right, Mary Belodu. Welcome. Allie Brown, welcome to the Memphis Astronomical Society. Anthony Kelly, another new member. Anthony, welcome. Scott Bayerson, welcome to the Memphis Astronomical Society, as well as Kanwar Brar. Is anybody here tonight? Kanwar, did I say your name correctly? Welcome.
He broke the tradition.
I'm sorry?
He broke the tradition.
He broke the tradition. For those of you who don't know, we have a long-standing tradition of when we announce new members, they don't show at the next meeting. And I'm happy to announce that not only Kanwar came tonight, but when I announced Patrick last month, he was a no-show, and he's actually here. So everybody say hello to Patrick Black. Welcome, guys. Happy to have you on board. Everybody say hi to Richard and Rick in the back. Of course, you know Richard. He looks like a homeless vagrant, but he actually, you know, he helps things out. So, Gabriella Jarrett, another new member. And I think that's it. Did I miss anybody? All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Memphis Astronomical Society. Okay. Again, Memphis Astro, if you're a member, you get access to our newsletter, The Meteorite. Check out, of course, this edition. And one of the benefits of being a member. Clicker is a little slow. Apologize for that. Okay, I wanted to mention this. I don't have a whole lot to say. I know, Steve, you're here, Merrill here. Does one of you guys want to chime in about this? Bottom line is we're looking for another observing site option. And we've been talking to the prop busters, and we had a meeting earlier this month. I think it went very well. Some of us are going to become a member, and this could be an alternative option for dark sky observing, whether it's on weekends or even impromptu sessions. They are, what is it, north of Collierville in, oh, by Arlington. Okay. So I have very little to say about this. Basically, there were 8 or 9 people in this meeting. I was strictly eye candy. So if anybody has anything else to add, Steve, Merrill?
You're on the MA, rolling to the club.
Yeah. Anyway, this, I'm pretty excited about this actually because in addition to a dark sky pretty close to Burton's, they have facilities and maybe even the option too to do some other outreach type things. So more of this is coming. I'll show you on the calendar, but we are planning to be out there later this month if it's clear. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Okay, again, calendar of events. Got a lot coming up, both this month as well as the rest of the year, and we'll talk about some of these things, as you can see. But let me just go ahead and break this down for the month of May. Again, it's May 6th today. Tomorrow night, May 7th, we're going to be at Bobby Lanier Park. It's in Germantown. We'll send out a notice about this. The weather does look clear, so if you want to get out and you can bring your telescope, yeah, by all means, come on out. So that's tomorrow night, May the 7th. The following Friday, Friday the 13th, we will be at Germanshire Parks. And again, we'll send a notice out about this. And then the following Sunday, we have a total lunar eclipse. Now, two options there. We're planning to be at Burton's and actually right here at MoSH. So, and of course, the nice thing about an eclipse is you can see it from your driveway. You don't necessarily have to go to a dark sky site, although a little later on we'll tell you some of the advantages of doing that. But definitely mark your calendars, if nothing else, for the total lunar, did I say solar? I meant lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse on May the 15th. And then the following Saturday, again, we finished the month at Burton's, the 21st and the 28th. And then the 30th, we'll talk more about this also, possible meteor shower. So a lot of stuff going on this month in May. So keep an eye out for notices. Again, tomorrow night as well as the following Friday, we'll need telescopes. So if you can help us out and come on out for these outreaches on May the 7th as well as May the 13th, yeah, please help us out. And again, we'll send notices out. Okay, observing report. If anybody has anything they want to share, I'll just briefly mention this. Brian and I were at Hernando Point in Arcabutla a couple weeks ago. And one thing I learned that I didn't know is that bonfires are very good for night vision. I don't know if you knew that or not, but this is a good spot. And we did the campfire, the s'mores, and the night vision. It was a pretty good night to be looking at galaxies, so not bad. Anybody else? Anything to share? Trying to make these meetings a little more interactive. Okay. Okay. All right, and again, for outreach, we have a form on our website. You click on the link, just fill out your details, and again, more information you can give us, the easier it'll be for us to field the requests. So it's on our website, memphisastro.org. Just fill out your details, and yeah, we'd be happy to help you out if there are any outreach requests. Okay, I put this slide up here. I don't know if Rick wants to mention anything about this. Otherwise, we'll send notices out if we are going to have another astrophotography group meeting.
I think we are this month. I haven't got a thing for it yet, but I'll bring on something between now and next week.
All right, excellent. So that will be May the 14th. Again, right around the time of the full moon. We typically do an astrophotography group meeting. So stay tuned for notices regarding that. So that's Zoom only, correct. Yeah. All right. And with that, we're going to jump right in here. We got basically one program. Now we're trying to make this interactive, so if you have any comments or questions or anything of that nature, then please feel free to chime in. So, but with that, we'll cover basically what we got coming up for the rest of the month and for the rest of the year, and hopefully heighten some awareness and get you guys out of here on time for a change. So, the top remaining astronomical events of 2022, and with this I'm actually going to ask my buddy Brian to kind of join me when he's available and field any questions, but I do have some slides here just to kind of set this up. So, to start off with, clicker's a little slow here. There we go. We have a lunar eclipse on May the 15th. And of course, it's a total lunar eclipse. And the nice thing about this one is you don't have to see it necessarily in the middle, well, not in the middle of the night. It will be earlier in the evening. So you can see here the times. You can see that the full eclipse actually starts around 10:30 p.m. and max eclipse is at 11:11. So this is one where you can be done shortly after midnight and still get a decent night's rest. So now a couple of things about this one I want to mention. You can see the times there. Yeah, why don't you go to the next slide? The clicker's a little slow for some reason. So I'll just go ahead and speak it. Okay, so we had one last November, and this was basically a 97% partial eclipse, which is good enough for lunar eclipses. And you can see here Brian and I met at Burton's to observe this one. So this is the first time I had the opportunity to see a total lunar eclipse from a truly dark sky site. Normally, it's not something we do. If you can see it from your backyard or your driveway, light pollution, you don't really pay attention to it because it's the moon. But in this particular case, we went out to Burton's, and there's a couple of reasons why. And I'm actually going to chime Brian in here to kind of describe or discuss the reasoning why here. But you can see this is about as bright a sky as I can recall seeing at Burton's. It was very bright when just before the eclipse began. And then the cool thing is when it got toward totality or toward maximum eclipse, the stars came out and you could see a very noticeable change, if you will, in the landscape. And Brian, you were actually one that kind of notified me about this. You can go to the next slide, Richard. Yes, it is. So that's the Pleiades, and this is near max eclipse, again around, when was max eclipse? About 3:30 in the morning for this one?
Yeah, it was
4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this was an all-nighter. Now, one thing we did, actually specifically Brian did, was measure the sky rating before, at the beginning of, and then at max eclipse to see basically just how dark the sky gets. So, and you can see some of the readings we got here. Anything you want to discuss here, Brian?
Well, basically, we got the idea for this. Is the volume okay?
Actually, make sure it's green.
Okay, sorry about that. We got the idea for this, I think it was the January 2019 eclipse.
How are we doing on
Sorry
audio?
about that.
It's okay.
Got some feedback. But during max eclipse, we were texting each other back and forth, and during that eclipse, I think it was near M44. And from my house, during max eclipse, I could see M44 naked eye.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we got the idea of, hey, what would this be like from a dark sky site? Because usually we don't bother, we just watch the eclipse at home. And that's where we got the idea to go to Burton's, and we were really surprised at the experience during max eclipse. You could see a lot of the fainter stars. Some of the you could barely make out the winter Milky Way, and so if you can get to a dark sky site, it may sound counterintuitive for a lunar eclipse. I think it's a much more immersive experience.
Yeah, that's right. In January of 2019, you sent me some pictures of that, where you had the beehive M44 and then the fully eclipsed moon. So that was pretty cool. Richard, if you go to the next slide, I think we got some other images. Oh, okay. So this is actually an observing tip for this one coming up. And Brian, you kind of mentioned this. So, right, again, get to a darker sky. If you can, get to a dark sky site, one with a good view of the southeast, and that's where you'll need to be basically to see this eclipse. And you can see here I pulled this up in Stellarium. And again, it's May 15 and all two, so basically 1022. You're looking at, of course, a rising Scorpius. That's the star Antares. And then here's the moon just before it gets toward max eclipse. So if you're going to see this, well, hopefully all of you are planning to see this, you'll need a good view of the horizon looking southeast. So no obstructions, obviously, no buildings, no trees, anything like that. And then, yeah, as astronomical twilight ends at 9:36, about the same time the partial eclipse begins. And then the moon is eclipsed by the Earth's shadow, and notice the sky darkens. And now, Richard, see if I can do this. Oh, there you go. I don't know if that was me or you. But anyway, that's kind of a shot right around 10:30 when it reaches max eclipse. And you can kind of see what the sky will look like. So, yeah. No, don't say that. No, that's the only thing. No clouds, right? We'll be clouded out. So, anyway, yeah, May 15th. If it's clear, again, two options. We're planning to be here at the MoSH, some of us, and then Brian and I will be at Burton's. One thing that was really cool about November is just the contrast in the sky. Again, a full moon basically washes out the entire night sky. And early on, there's not much going on. But as you get closer to max eclipse, really changes. It really basically transformed from a full moon sky to a dark sky sight. So, and again, the Milky Way came out. I thought, if I had my Dob or if I had another telescope out, you could actually go after some deep sky objects, which are pretty cool for during a full total lunar eclipse.
And actually, if you'll remember that night, during totality, we observed Comet Leonard.
That's right, we did.
Right, and I think it was at that time, it was about Mag 8, something. Yeah. I can't quite remember exactly what it was, but that's something that would have been impossible, during a full moon.
Yeah.
But, during max
first look at
eclipse,
Leonard. Yeah.
Yeah, we turned a big binocs around and observed Comet Leonard.
That's right, we did. That was at max eclipse. First time we saw it. What magnitude was it again? It was just getting started. That was before.
Yeah, it was between 7 and 8. I can't really remember.
Yeah. So that was November of last year. November, was it 8? Something like 8 or 9. I got to look at the exact date. But yeah, that was really good. And then, of course, we saw Leonard a couple more times. So that was later in the season in December, and I think we caught it again in January. We did one at Arkabutla, and then actually went out to Moscow and found a pretty good site. So anyway, so that's event number 1. May 15, lunar eclipse. Definitely mark your calendars, check this out. If we can have the next slide. Okay. So let's go to the next event. This one has the potential to be very interesting or a complete dud. So we'll see. But bottom line is Memorial Day of this year, there's a meteor shower. And this happens every year. They're the Tau Herculids. And basically Comet Schwarzmann 3 it was discovered in the 1930s. It's a short period comet. Started breaking up in 1995. And the debris field, you can see here an infrared image of some of the fragments of this comet that were captured in 2006. We're passing through that at the end of this month. And it has the potential not only to be a meteor shower, but even a meteor storm. So let me go to the next slide here. So this is an email that Bill Wilson sent me. There was one in 1966, speaking of meteor storms. The Leonids that year blew people away. I was 23 years old then, but was mostly ignorant of astronomy and didn't know what time of night would be best for observing them. I remember taking my then girlfriend, later wife, out east of Memphis on I-40 where I pulled off at an exit, thinking the sky would be darker there than in town. It was, but it was also about 9 p.m. and the real action didn't start until 4 or 5 a.m. We were disappointed and gave up. All right, next slide. But Earl Griffin, one of our longtime MAS members who sadly passed away in 2021 at the age of 97, did see it. He said he was driving east an hour or two before dawn when the sky lit up with streaks of light so numerous that they were disorienting. He pulled off the road and watched. As I remember, he said it was like a sci-fi clip of a spaceship moving at warp speed past hundreds of stars. Bill Buster might have seen it too and would certainly have known what it was. Pretty cool stuff. Does anybody else in here remember seeing this or remember this event? You do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You have a lapel?
Yes.
All right, Dan.
Yes.
All right, is this on?
Yeah, now it is.
All right. You remember? Oh, showing your age.
Here you go.
Do you mind recalling your account of this event?
Well, I was, okay, well, I was, let's see, 1966, I was 19 years old. I was getting ready to join the government service, which ended up with an all-expense-paid trip to Southeast Asia. But up in Pittsburgh, it was a very active group at the time, and we were up near Allegheny Observatory, which is north of the city. And like, Bill Wilson said, the sky just lit up. I mean, they were all over the place.
I mean, I imagine it as like streaks of light everywhere.
Yes, yeah, and they're all generally radiating from the same point. I also remember the one, probably about 30 years ago, Leonid, that turned into a meteor storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very, very numerous. I think somebody said at one time there were almost 200 meteors an hour.
Wow.
That's the one where I asked my wife to marry.
Oh, where you asked your wife to marry you?
Out there
Yeah,
at
yeah,
Wilson's.
Oh, wow.
but it's always interesting.
Which one?
Peak at 2 o'clock in the morning. For this one?
No, one about 30 years.
Oh, the one 30 years ago. That was the peak was about 2 o'clock in the morning.
I was up most of the evening. It was I wasn't working at the time or something. Whatever it was, but I know back in 1966, we had quite a few observers out there at the Allegheny Observatory, and like the you just couldn't count them. They
Wow.
were coming so fast.
Sky lighting up.
I got my wife to take a walk with me.
Yeah.
I had a diamond ring in my hand, and the meteor started going, and I did like this and said, well, here comes one. And that was it.
The Leonid Denison was in November of 2000.
Which one? Oh, the November of 2000. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to pass the microphone around.
Anybody want to say? Talk?
Well, I was,
There you go.
Hey, Richard, if we could have the next slide.
Yeah, I went to Arizona, actually, a medical meeting, but my son started school at Stanford that year, so I remember it. So it was, we watched on a golf course outside of Sedona, and it was pretty spectacular. I would say, 100 or 200 for about an hour or so.
And this was the one,
This is the lean-in, so it's the last superstorm, but
The
it
last
wasn't
superstorm.
like the 66.
right.
But it was
It was still pretty good.
spectacular.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? So this one in '66, I'm calling it Earl Storm in honor of Earl Griffin. Estimated zenith hourly rate 80,000 meteors,
Wow.
10 to 20 per second. This is why I hate everybody who was born before me, because you had way more fun in the '60s. But anyway, wow. I can't imagine. This truly is science fiction. But anyway, if we got the next slide, Richard.
Gotcha. All right, anyway. Anybody remember that one? That was in 1833. And some of them members, I'm serious. That one looked like a pretty good one too. So these things have the potential to be pretty incredible. Now, for this year's Tau Herculids, bottom line is we don't know. There was a paper written about this. Basically, this was written a year ago. There were two models that were presented. I kind of skimmed through the paper, but the conclusion is basically this. In the aftermath of the breakup of the nucleus of comet Schwarzmann-Walkman 3, otherwise known as Sony-Walkman 3, that's probably an easier way to say it. In 1995, two possibilities exist. Either the resultant material expelled will completely miss the Earth, or we will have a direct interaction with a swarm of large meteoric particles at the end of May 2022. Our simulations confirm that both prospects are possible. The former case would result visually in little or nothing being observed. The latter case might possibly result in a prolific display of very slow, bright, and colorful meteors. However, because of their slow speed, the meteors could also end up appearing very faint or not visible at all to the unaided eye. Unfortunately, this is all something new, and without knowledge of the exact orbital parameters and physical circumstances, a precise forecast is well nigh impossible to make. So it could be great or it could be a complete dud. The nice thing is, this particular night is basically a new moon night. So it's a regular observing night. So if the meteor shower / storm is a no-show, you can still make it a regular observing night. And if it is a show and it's something similar to what you just saw, then we don't have moonlight blocking it. So the bottom line is it's definitely worth checking out. If you don't look up, it's a 100% guarantee you're going to miss it. So anyway, just saying. A Tau Herculid, potentially meteor storm. Brian, any thoughts about this one? Are we going to catch this one?
Who knows? You know, maybe it'll. I mean, it might be a dud. Like, wasn't there supposed to be a shower after Comet Ison disintegrated? I think even some members went out to Burton's and didn't see anything but satellites. So, but yeah, it's an observing night, and I think that this favors North America. So I think
it favors North America?
I believe so. And so I think at midnight is is what we're looking at. So it's an excuse to stay up all night and do some observing, and maybe we'll get lucky.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
We could have the next slide, Richard.
Don't buy a telescope then.
Yeah.
Yeah. No new telescopes that week. Otherwise, yeah. So anyway, the radiant, actually typically it's here off the foot of Hercules, but actually now it's here. So we have the next slide. We fade that out. Okay, and then the next slide after that. So, all right. And again, I'm showing this via Stellarium. Richard, can we do a meteor shower in here with this overhead projector? All right, no, it's okay. No, let's pass on that because we got the next one coming up. Anyway, the next slide, just take this out here. So again, you're looking south. Basically, you can see Corvus right there. What is it, southwest? And then you can see where the radiant is. It's right off of Arcturus. It'll be somewhere right up there. And again, this is around midnight, just before midnight. May the 30th, basically Memorial Day. So we're clear, great. We'll be at Burton's. So, well, I don't know if we're going to be at Burton's. We got to ask Mark for permission first, but we're planning to do whatever we can to get to Burton's for this evening. So, anybody have any other comments or questions about this one? Got the light in my eye here. Okay, so that takes care of May. And we can go ahead and move forward. All right, I just taken the. All right, June 24. Here's another one that could be interesting. 5 planets line up. Moon will align with Earth's perspective. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn all be visible together along with a crescent moon. Actually, Uranus is in this lineup as well. So you want to get to a spot early in the morning You can see here in Stellarium, I've got it at 4:45 a.m. And you'll want to have a good view of the eastern horizon and bring a pair of binoculars. You'll try to get a feel for the ecliptic. So now, Richard, if we can do the planetary on this one, this could be kind of interesting. So we're going to deviate here for just a second. Since we have a planetarium, we might as well use it, right? Okay, so again, we're looking due south. I apologize for the spotlight here. And this is June the 24th. So June 24, 2022, early in the morning, so you're just before sunrise. And you can kind of see here what we're looking at. Looks like they're all lined up. Mercury, again, this is just before sunrise. So you can see Mercury, Venus, a very thin crescent moon. And then Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So you've got the 2 inferior planets, and then you've got the 3 superior planets in there. And actually Uranus is visible somewhere if you have a telescope, although it might be hard to snag it. But you can see here, this is what time, Richard? Is this? I got you. Okay. Okay. Well, you can see here, if you got to turn your heads here, but Mercury very low on the horizon in the lineup. That's Aldebaran, I believe. And then here you can see the Pleiades. And I believe this is Perseus, correct? Yeah, just rewind just a little bit. So we're trying to snag Mercury just before, yeah, I guess we'll have to lose Mercury for a second here. So there you see the Milky Way. And that's Andromeda right up there, I believe. Yep. And then we got, this is Triangulum. So you can do some galaxy hunting just beforehand. So M33 should be right about there. And that is, what is that, Pisces. No, Pisces is right here. And you can see the Great Square Pegasus right up here. How impressive is it that I can do this without any constellations? And then, what else we got? No, because if I can't do this without it, then I'm not competent. So, all right, so we got Saturn here. Now I'm getting lost. Yeah, you better put them on because I just got lost. All right, so I got Pegasus right there. I know I got Pisces down here. Triangulum, yep, Andromeda, and then Aquarius and Capricornus. So, and of course, you'll see all of this when you look at it. You'll see the lines and you'll see the constellations and the names, so you'll have no problem. That's why we're using the planetarium. All right, we can turn it off now. But anyway, you got 5 planets aligned. Really 6 because you've got Saturn. So for those of you who think that we're not the Memphis Astrological Society, that's actually not true. So this is a good time if you want to make, whatever predictions or whatever. But yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next slide here. Again, I'm just kind of showing you where this is. Again, 4:45, just before dawn, you can see the sun starting to come up here. But basically from the eastern horizon all the way to the southern horizon, we got a line of planets. So what are we doing for this one, Brian?
Well, probably getting permission from our wives to head out at 3:30 in the morning and find a good view of the east.
What day is this on anyway? Do we know? What's June 24? What day? Anybody know? It's a Friday? Oh, I'm in the clear. If it's Thursday through Saturday, I can usually get out no problem. Monday through Wednesday, I've got to butter her up a little bit. So I might have to buy her some flowers or something. I don't know. So we got to start working on them now, right? So that they'll give us permission. So this could be an RV night, and we can get out and do some quality observing beforehand. Or do we just meet at midnight like we did for the eclipse, and then just make it the second night? We got a crescent moon too. So this is pretty interesting. This is a waning crescent, right? Yeah, obviously a waning crescent. So, all right, June 24. Mark that date on your calendar. Any other comments, questions about this one? Moving right along. All right, we got another lunar eclipse coming up in November, and we'll talk more about this one as we get closer. Now, unlike the one we've got coming up in May, you got to stay up for this one. So you can see full eclipse is around 4:16. Max eclipse is at just before 5 o'clock in the morning. And then basically the eclipse ends just before sunrise. Now you can see a picture here looking due west at Burton's when Brian and I were out there almost a year earlier, which was this past November. You can see how bright the sky was. And we can have the next slide. Okay, so in this one we're recommending obviously get a good view of the west, or better yet, if you can find a spot with a panoramic view. Sunrise is just about 15 minutes after full eclipse ends. And try to rate this eclipse on the de Jonge scale, which we'll talk about in a second. And this eclipse occurs during the annual display of the Taurid meteors. Usually the Taurids offer only a week display, though the shower endures for several weeks. This year, however, there's some expectation among meteor specialists that an intense swarm of Taurids might bring higher rates and perhaps numerous bright fireballs between the end of October and about November 10th. So, will shooting stars pepper the sky during totality on November the 8th? Again, it's hit or miss, but that would be pretty cool if it did. So if you have the next slide. And now you can see where this one is in the lineup. The other thing is Uranus is very close to the moon. So if you have totality, or I'm sorry, during the max eclipse, maybe we could spot Uranus at the same time. And then you got the Pleiades here, Aldebaran, you got Mars up here, Betelgeuse, and then of course Orion. And I'm looking, again, essentially due west. So if we're at Burton's, this is the cabin. I don't know if we'll have a shot. The thing with Burton's looking due west at the cabin is we've got obviously trees obstructing our view, and then also sky glow, correct?
Yeah.
Because we're looking toward Memphis, so we'll see. It might be tough to get Uranus on the horizon, but you're looking, again, 4:02 a.m., right around max eclipse. So, and if we have the next slide, you might see something like this. This is a shot that Brian took last November during the eclipse. Constellation Orion, Pleiades, and then of course the fully eclipsed moon right there. So, yeah, definitely worth a look. Basically a rinse and repeat of what we did this past November. Yeah?
Yep. Probably Archibald would be a better observing site for this one.
We got a clearer view of the western horizon, and not quite as much sky glow to deal with. Trying to think of what spots are available there. Do we have something over the water that faces west? I don't think we do we?
The same spot, they'll be fine, yeah.
Same spot?
Yeah, lot
Trying to
23.
orient myself. Okay. So we'll need a clear, low horizon with as little sky glow as possible. All right, next slide. And if you want to do a little bit of science, you can rate the brightness of the moon during max eclipse using the de Jonge scale. We did this in November, and you can see here basically a 97% blocked moon during the eclipse back on November the 19th. And you measured 2.5, correct?
Yes.
All right. So one of these days I want to see this. 0. That's basically a hole in the sky. So is it possible for it to get this dark, and what factors would need to come into play to get the disk of the moon to be this dark? I mean, are we talking like smoke from a forest fire, or I don't know.
Well, there's it seems that a volcanic activity can I mean, I guess that's a no-brainer, but the local conditions like forest fires and volcanic activity, just like that makes the sun look really red. That was happening in Las Vegas just this week. So yeah, those kind of conditions can can affect
darken it.
how dark the moon is.
What about position in the sky? I guess that doesn't really matter. Okay. So it's basically,
And also how deep into the umbra the eclipse is.
oh, I gotcha. Okay. You can see here.
The Mount St. Helens, man.
Oh, Mount St. Helens. Yeah.
For several months.
Yeah.
We could tell it. It was even sort of an orange glow in the daytime.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and then when you went out to the telescopes, it was sort of smoky.
Wow. Yeah, you had the deep sky glow from the ash, correct?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was
In the
amazing.
late 70s, the MAS was set up at Craigmont Planetarium,
Testing.
and we had a zero.
Sorry.
I'm trying to capture all
All
this.
this.
Back in the late 70s, we were set up at Craigmont High School, which has a planetarium, and I don't know, there were about 5 or 6 of us, and we had a zero. The moon just completely disappeared. You couldn't see it.
So it was basically a black disk.
Right. It's completely blocked out.
I was there, I forgot about that.
The late 70s?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And
You guys had all the fun. I
We
can't
had-
stand it. That's
Well, we
great.
had a little bit darker skies,
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
not much, but it is.
we were there until early in the morning, and a couple of people went running by who worked at FedEx and got off at 2 o'clock in the morning and go, "Oh, what are you folks doing up here?"
So could you see any surface details at all on the moon?
No,
Couldn't see anything.
Nothing.
Nothing.
it's gone.
Zero, completely.
That's amazing. So it was basically a big black hole in the sky. Not black hole, that's a terrible term. Dark dot in the sky where the disk of the moon was. Yeah.
Let's talk about the brightness. No matter where we go now.
Sorry.
No matter where you go now, how far out you go, you're gonna get sky glow somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just, it's all built up. It didn't used to be like back in the 70s, like he's talking about.
Yeah.
We used to be able to go out and get pretty dark, but not anymore.
Right.
Sky goes, you go far enough, you get Jackson, go that way, you get Little Rock. You know, it's just,
Yeah, it's hard to get away from the light domes now, right? We got, yeah, what were you gonna say?
When I moved here in the summer of 1976, I lived out in Parkway Village, and this was before the Mall of Memphis, of course, and before all of the car dealerships, were built out there on Mount Moriah. On a typical clear night, I could go out and immediately see third magnitude stars. And
Wow.
at least once or twice a month, I could see all the stars in the Little Dipper. And some of those are fifth magnitude stars. So
Wow.
it's gone downhill
It's considerable.
everywhere.
Yeah. Sorry, Richard, were you gonna say something? Okay.
the only thing I noticed is I always, when I first started doing the Messier objects, I lived on a street called Paul.
Mm.
So where about Covenant Pike is.
Yeah.
Covenant Pike wasn't built up. And I found all but about 10 of the Messier objects in my driveway.
Wow.
And then I went out to Somerville, regular observing, I found them again, and I wrote them down.
Wow.
But I found them all.
So you get all 110 Messier objects
Almost.
from Covington Pike area,
Yeah,
you said?
Yeah, Covenant Pike wasn't there yet.
It wasn't there yet, okay.
It
Yeah.
was just a bunch of woods.
So you can, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's one of the unintended consequences of,
Couldn't do it now.
they can do it now. It's getting harder to find truly dark sky
Yeah,
sites, and even the ones we've noticed Burton's has changed.
yeah.
I mean, we can still do some stuff out there, but there's light domes now. In fact, if we look south, right, we're starting to notice one there now.
Yeah.
That's
It's
too
got
bad.
bad enough, I've considered building a radio telescope.
Radio telescope. Go do radio astronomy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. It's getting bad. And of course, one of the things we're trying to mandate is awareness for light pollution, but
Yeah.
it's
There's a organization.
IDA.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, International Dark Sky Association. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, we have,
Oh, if you don't mind, microphone.
you might have noticed in Germantown, I think it's on Neshoba Road, that they built a new shopping center and apartments, and they have those, what's IDA refers to as acorn globes. I think they're actually sold as acorn globes. No light, no covers on them, just There's
She's
some in the
spherical.
parking lot here, unfortunately, but these are of an amber color, and I'm okay with them. There is also a new development in Lakeland that has these same lights. So I dug around into the books and found that they are, in fact, against Shelby County building code. And I have reported them properly.
Snitch.
So it's my job.
Good. Way to
It's
go.
my job. Thank
Clap.
you. What I request of you all is if you see any new developments that have these lights, to send me the address or some photos, and I will continue to report them. What we want is for them to not install any more. Hopefully take care of the ones that are already there, but
Are these
mostly-
stars or Mercury?
they're probably LED. They're brand new. And that Lakeland development is going to develop all along. They've already started construction, more construction, and I'm assuming they're going to put in, or they were planning to put in, more lights
Yeah.
of the same type.
What are the name of the lights again?
Acorn lamps.
Okay, acorn lamp.
They are the lamps that,
Right on up there next to a bare bulb. That's just a glass globe.
yes, a bare bulb. I wasn't sure what you said. Yeah, it just looked like a bare bulb
Yeah.
on top of a post, not really illuminating anything useful. It's just a glare bomb.
Yeah.
Killing your night vision.
Yeah.
Yep.
Light going everywhere. No shielding of any kind. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other comments? All right, if we can have the next slide. Okay, so I think this wraps this one up. This is in November. And again, we'll send notices out. All right, another meteor shower. And again, I'll just mention this one. We saw, of course, how great the Leonids can be, the one in '66 and the one in 1833 that our members saw. So this year, well, I'll just read these comments. Okay, so November 19. So more than one meteor dynamicist predicts that this year's Leonid display will be enhanced by a pulse of particles that were ejected by the comet 55P Temple Tuttle in 1733. As with the Tau Herculid, it's probably best to just plan an observing night. So again, it could be a show, it could be a no-show, but it occurs, I think, near essentially a new moon or close to it. So just make it a regular observing night, and if the meteor shower happens, it happens. If not, it's not a loss. So yeah, I don't know what else we can say about that.
Most of the time you can observe all you want, because it usually doesn't start till after midnight.
Right.
You got plenty of time to do your regular observing.
Yeah, in fact, do I have the time on this one? Okay, I guess it's around 1:30 in the morning. So yeah, and again, it's in November, so
Yeah, it's usually after midnight, so
yeah.
it works out right.
Yeah, that's perfect. Get out there, have an observing night, take a break, and then watch the meteor shower. So that's not a bad way to go. Anybody have anything else they want to add about experiences with the Leonids? All right, next slide.
Oh, God! Jeez, that was probably one of the best ones of the night. Look at that. Left a trail. Still there, it's still there in the video. That is cool. That was probably the best one of the night so far.
All right, so we're checking this one out too, right? In November. Is that a regular Burton's night or not? What day is November 19th?
Don't know.
Yeah, we gotta look it up.
Yeah.
It's what?
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Okay, so
Okay.
it is. So this could be a regular Burton's night. So, okay. So book that one, November 19th. We're almost done. All right, next slide. Oh, so this is another event that this could be kind of interesting. So on December 7, Pearl Harbor Day, we have an occultation of Mars by the disk of the moon. And this is occurring around 9, a little after 9 o'clock in the evening. Mars, of course, is reaching opposition at that time, so it'll be bright, about minus 1.9, 17 arc seconds across. And yeah, December 7, here's Brian's observing tip. We have a full moon that night, so you may want to use a Botter filter or moon and sky glow to cut down on the glare of the moon so that you can see Mars. I would say that's a definite, because if you've ever looked at even a first quarter moon in a telescope, it can be pretty blinding, kind of like what's happening right now. So yeah, you're definitely going to want a filter. Okay, next slide. And again, I'm not really showing where it is relative to direction or the sky, so because hopefully all you have to do is just look up and find this really bright thing called the moon, and there you are. So the next slide. And this kind of was what it would look like through a telescope. So this might be one to zoom in on. So there you go. You see the disk of Mars right there. If you zoom in, I wonder if you can see albedo markings on the surface of Mars while the disk of the moon is eclipsing or occulting it. So December 7, pretty simple. You can see this one from home. I think we even need to go to any kind of dark sky site. Anybody ever seen one of these, by the way?
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah. I used to try to record the
Oh, you did?
observation. So, oh, trick is to see the Mars moon as it starts to appear.
Wow. See Mars as moons? So not only Mars, but their moons, as it's being occulted.
Depending on where they are, if they're out where you can see them, but as now with the moon being full, and I don't know if you'll be able to do that. What's cool is when it's a dark part of the moon that's occult.
Yeah.
The planet, then you got the light, you can see the moon.
Yeah. I've never seen one of these. I'm looking forward to it. Again, hopefully no clouds. Need to sacrifice one of my 7 telescopes. So, yeah, check this one out, December 7th. All right. And next slide. All right, Geminids. Again, we got another meteor shower coming up. All right, Brian, talk to me on this one.
Well, this is the best meteor. This is the most dependable meteor shower of the year. Unfortunately, we've got a gibbous moon, and that's going to knock out the best of the meteors. But one of the best Geminids I've ever seen was about 9 o'clock at night. I took my mother-in-law out to my uncle's to watch it. And as soon as we opened the car door and stepped out, an earth grazer went across the whole sky.
Wow.
And it was the best meteor of the night. And those are few and far between, but that's the perfect time, and that's your opportunity to try to catch some earth grazers before the moon rises.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at, 10:47 p.m. Again, December the 14th. And we're looking essentially due east. So you just look for Sirius. And the radiant for this one, this is the Geminids, so we're looking about right there. In fact, Richard, if we can have the next slide. Let's just get a view of the horizon here. So what is the peak for this one? I don't think I wrote this one down. This is about, I think it's about this time. Is that correct? I gotta look it up. But again, you're looking due east just before the moon rises. The moon rises around 10:47. Right about there.
Usually for the Perseids and the Geminids, I don't know why, but it always seems like 3 a.m. is when you see the most.
3 a.m.
But like I said, unfortunately, there's a bright moon. But I wouldn't let the moon stop me. If you prefer to observe meteor showers. You know, if you're an early riser, an insomniac, or whatever, and you're up at 3 o'clock. I mean, I would still go out and look, but most people, you know, enjoy looking at things in the evening. And like I said, this is a perfect opportunity to try to catch some Earth grazers.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely worth a look. So, okay. But we've got a couple other ones earlier this year, especially the one at the end of May, where there's essentially no moon. That's definitely worth checking out. So, all right. Anyway, we'll get back to this one. It's at the end of the year. So we can have the next slide. And just kind of wrapping up here, a general comment about comets. I don't think we have a whole lot coming up this year. So again, these are somewhat unpredictable. Do we have any comets on our radar screen?
No, one just disintegrated. That was going to be a possible sixth magnitude comet. That E3 ZTF, I think that would be the one to keep an eye on for early next year in January, because it'll be circumpolar. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with a 6 mag comet in the eyepiece. You know, that can, as a matter of fact, when we were looking and photographing Comet Leonard in December, it was at 6th magnitude. So a 6th magnitude comet in a dark sky in the eyepiece, it's you know, I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's so, but unfortunately, there's nothing you know, brighter than that predicted at this moment. But
yeah, we don't have a Neowise
Yeah.
or anything like that coming up. So, but we're always looking for comets if they come out. So again, it's somewhat not as I'm say random, but you never know, I guess, is the bottom line, right? So this one, keep an eye on. All right. Well, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. So why don't we go ahead and turn the lights on and just kind of open it up to wrap up here. And is anything else they want to say or mention? Yes, hang on.
I don't know if anybody else ever saw anything like this, but there was a member back in the late 70s or early 80s, I can't remember exactly when. We had an observing session out in Somerville, probably close to where y'all are going. But it was a scheduled observing session, and the temperature in Memphis was like 25 or 30. So me and Frank Jordan, who was a member of them, we were the only two to show up. And it was well worth it, because all of a sudden, we heard a big noise. It sounded like an aircraft.
Yeah.
And we looked up, and the whole sky lit. And it was a meteor, fireball.
One fireball?
One fireball. And it landed, we found out in the commercial appeal the next morning, it landed somewhere in North Carolina, and they found fragments of it.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's how big it was.
Wow.
That was worth going out in the cold, frigid weather.
Yeah.
That was worth the drive.
When was that again?
It was either like 79 or 80, somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
It was in the dead of winter.
79, 80.
I have no idea why we went. I was in my 20s and 30s, so I guess that's why I went.
Absolutely. See? Yeah. It requires a little bit of patience and a little suffering, and you never know what you're going to see.
We never dreamed we were going to see something like that.
That's right.
It lit the whole sky up like daylight.
Wow.
And we found out that it went over 6 states, and we found pieces of it in North
Wow.
Carolina.
Wow. That would be worth the wait.
Yeah.
We got to see something like that. That's
First thing we
amazing.
thought of was War of the Worlds.
Yeah. The aliens are coming. Armageddon, yeah. That's the thing that makes movies. Somebody call Bruce Willis. Anybody else? General comments? Meteor showers are kind of, it's like hit or miss. You know, they're not necessarily high on my radar screen as far as what to observe. So I don't get as excited about those as I do about other things.
It's
but-
kind of like fishing, you know. Some people like fishing, some don't. But, you know, don't get too worked up about them. Just go out and relax. And if it happens, it happens. You know, if you catch something, you catch it. But
Some of the best meteor showers I've seen were ones where you have a thin layer of clouds, and then just streak across it, and make it intensify.
Thin layer of clouds?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
So not necessarily a perfect clear night
No.
is the best.
One of the best ones I've ever seen, I think it was a Leonid. And it was just, yeah, still there, it was like an overlay, like a mist.
Yeah.
And see out, and just, and every meter that comes across leaves a trail.
Right.
It's because of the air.
Wow.
The most amazing thing is when you realize that the meteors you see aren't really very big. Some of them are just grains of sand,
Right.
and the ones that are really bright are the size of a BB or less.
Right.
But when you hit the Earth's atmosphere at 40,000 miles an hour, the incandescence really
Right.
lights up.
Right.
I remember it was 2004, I got blinded by a fireball.
Wow.
It was late in the evening. I worked a late shift. It was maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. I had my telescope out, and I was looking for, I believe it was M3. And all of a sudden, something just burst into the field of view. And it right at me. And it took about a second or a second and a half to go from, barely visible to super bright. At first, I thought it was an airplane. And I, pulled away from the eyepiece. When I looked up in the sky, it was gone, but I looked back into the telescope, I could see the dust cloud where it had been, but it had been coming right at me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary.
Did you have to move out of the way to avoid getting? Whoa, there's another one.
No, it was low towards the horizon, so it probably hit somewhere, Fayette County or wherever.
Earth grazers is one thing. Hair grazers, that's another. Got to be a little careful. Yeah, but these things aren't very big, right? Most of them are just like the size of grains of sand.
Yeah, we get a big one, we're in trouble.
We get a big one, we're in trouble. So.
Freaking across the sky, you don't have to worry about it. When you see a spot that just keeps getting brighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that Bugs Bunny cartoon. I'm trying to remember the one. He's looking through the telescope and the rocket comes right at him. Yeah. So yeah, these are worth checking out. I mean, we could have a good one here on Memorial Day. So, of course, now that I've totally hyped it up and shown you pictures of what happened in 1833, it's going to be a total bust, Or be cloudy, yeah.
If you don't go, it'll be great.
Exactly. Yep. So, but this month alone, we've got 2 really cool things coming up. So we got a lunar eclipse, May 15, right here. If you want to see it, right in town. You don't want to drive. So, and of course, we'll be at Burton's as well. If you want to see the transition of the horizon, and then May the 30th is the meteor, possibly storm shower. So, yeah, and then of course June 24 is the planetary alignment. Anyway, we have handouts up front if you want to get a list, and then we have a digital copy as well on our website. We've also got some sky maps. So, anybody have any other?
Remember that planetary alignment we had, and everybody under the sun called us up wanting to know if the world was going to end?
Oh, please.
Please enlighten me, somebody. I got to hear this story.
I was still president then, and I think his number was on it, my
Yeah.
number was on it, and it was a planetary alignment, and everybody thought the world was going to end when they got all lined up.
Oh boy.
Was this in 84,
Something
85?
like that, yeah, something like that, yeah. I got all kinds of phone calls from people saying, the world's going to end. I said, hey, I finally got tired
Why
of
would
it.
you think the world's going to end because of a planetary alignment? I mean,
I have
isn't
no
that like
idea.
something good's going to happen?
I
or-
don't know.
Why is it always something bad?
I finally got tired of it, and I told one of them, they called, and they said that. I said, yeah, you better go sell everything you got and get a good policy and get out.
Yeah, absolutely. June 24th. Sell everything you got. It's all over.
No, there was the post that came out. It was called the Jupiter effect.
The Jupiter.
The Jupiter effect.
Book called The Jupiter Effect? Yeah.
I got off of all the social media because I quit arguing with the flat earthers.
Oh, don't get me started. It's been a rough week. No, don't get me started on this. I've been trying to keep my sanity. It's been a rough week. That's why I'm not on my game
So
tonight.
you might be crazy just like everybody else.
No. Understand. If you were educated, you are part of the conspiracy. Science is evil. The people who are not educated, they can see clearly.
Moonshot is fake.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. By the way, if this ever comes up in conversation, here's how you handle it, okay? NASA faked all the moon missions, all right? You do understand that Russia went to the moon too, right?
Yeah.
They landed something on the moon? So if they landed something on the moon, then is NASA lying about Russia going to the moon, or is Russia in on the conspiracy? So the ability to think linearly and logically, but you can't argue. You don't argue, you just listen.
You're wasting your time.
You're wasting, exactly, wasting your time. Just listen, smile and listen.
No truth to this,
Right.
any of this today.
Mhm.
You can't tell who's right and who's wrong.
By the way, was this around in 1830, I mean in 1979,
Yeah.
the flat earth thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was,
Yeah.
oh, the dawning of the age of Aquarius and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, well, the 60s, how could I forget?
I know I can't sing, but,
So
no, yeah.
what bands did you listen to back in the 60s? How did I get off on this tangent? Was Jefferson Airplane big back then?
Oh, yeah.
Nasby Star still, that's a band I actually like for some reason. Yeah, the Beach Boys. Yeah. Four Seasons. The Doors, right? Okay. Oh yeah, the Eagles.
Searcher, Herman, Herman.
Promote all these crazy ideas.
Yeah.
Suck in more people.
I'm wondering if it's just a fad or if it's got staying power. I mean, what's going to come? You know, what's going to come next? I mean,
Insanity does have staying power.
right.
Yeah, and, you know,
That's what
I don't understand. When you're caught off guard, it just blindsides you.
That's what,
So,
that's what bothers me a little bit. Like all this we got, this technology,
Uh-huh.
we didn't have this 20 years ago.
right.
What, I'm curious to see what's going to replace this, because there's going to be something come out that's going to take the place of this.
Right.
And it's going to be mind-boggling
Right.
to us.
Right. This looks state of the art now.
Yeah,
50 years from now, 20 years from now,
or maybe next week.
or next week, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Dan's the same way. I guess Ricky is, we remember when there were no computers at all.
Oh, sure.
And calculators cost $500-600.
Right.
Nobody could afford them. We got caught using one in class. We got enough.
Right. What was the definition of, somebody answer this, one of you guys. What was the definition of a computer in 1973?
what computer?
Somebody, please, somebody just answer this question.
IBM was going,
Okay.
but the first personal computer to come out with was Radio Shack.
Okay, what year?
1976, I think.
Yeah.
And I bought one of the first ones. It was 4K of memory, used cassette tape.
Cassette tape.
And,
Yeah.
yep, and,
Alright.
And
and it cost, Radio Shack did something really dumb. They came out with the first computer that you could actually walk into a store, pay $500 and take home a functional computer.
Right.
And then they came out with the Model 2 and Model 3, which is what I used printing a meteorite for a long time.
Right.
And then they just stopped. I don't know whether they decided they didn't want to do it anymore or what, but they had the market cornered, and they just stopped. And IBM and Apple came in.
So Radio Shack was the first one.
Yeah,
See, I
they
thought
were-
Apple was the first one.
No, Radio Shack was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
no, as a
See how
matter,
ignorant I am?
as a matter of fact, I built my first computer.
Yeah,
You
so
built your
my-
first
so-
computer.
I built my first computer. There was a company called Heathkit. You had to assemble it yourself. There was something called the AR-15, which is not a gun. It was a receiver. It was by far and away the best receiver you could buy. Better than Marantz, better than anything that was out there. But you had to build it yourself. Okay. There was also something called Super Tiger amplifiers. 250 watts RMS. And I had built some speakers that were 4 feet high, 2 feet wide, and 2 feet deep, and had an 18-inch woofer in them that would blow out a wall. Okay? So, you know, computers had been around, but, you know, this, you know, what was it? H3 from Heathkit stored data on a punched paper tape.
Yeah.
And one other experience, I guess I got to relate it. I used to travel a lot for FedEx, and one time I got stuck up in Chicago. I mean, stuck, for like 6 hours. And there was another older gentleman sitting across from me. He had a computer, a laptop, and you know, we got into a conversation. I thought, it's a pretty nice computer you got there. He says, yeah, it's something the company's just coming out with. It's called a ThinkPad. It's a prototype of the ThinkPad, IBM ThinkPad computer. I said, how long have you been into computers? He said, well, he says, I started back in the 1950s, 57 or 58, when one of the founders of IBM said, we're only going to need 8 computers in the whole world to do anything. Okay, well, I said, well, you've seen the progress of computers. He said, yeah, I guess so. He says, the first computers we built in 47 took up whole floors of buildings. He says, and it, you know, the wristwatch on your hand had more computer power than this did.
Yeah.
And then he gave the progression. He said, by the 60s, we figured we could get a computer into an office, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. He says, we blew that out of the way with the achievements of the space, you know, race. He said, by the late 80s, we figured, well, we can probably get it onto a desk, and not a desktop, but the entire desk. Then he said, you know, we figured maybe we can get something portable in the mid-90s. And I said, like what you got there? He said, no. He said, nothing like what I've got here. He said, this thing is 1,000,000 times more powerful than anything we ever imagined in the early 60s. And
A
he
million
said,
times more powerful. What? I'm sorry, I missed that. What's a million times more
the
powerful?
little ThinkPad computer he had
ThinkPad computer.
was
In
over.
what year? What year?
This was around 1996.
So 96 ThinkPad was 1,000,000 times more
Powerful than what he had started working on in the late 1950s. There was a booklet. I've got it at home somewhere. I'll dig it out one of these days. If the auto industry had progressed at the same rate computers had, your Cadillac would cost you about 37 cents. It would get 5,000 miles per gallon, and it would never wear out.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, remember,
PCs what did.
everybody's
PCs.
carrying these around. This has got more power than what they had on the Apollo.
Yeah.
I have 11
You-
RAM of 1100, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Woven RAM.
the first shuttle computers were equal to Commodore 64s.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Was there any image editing or manipulation capability in the early 70s?
Not like this.
Was there? What how was it done?
Vinicon, too, it was all analog.
But you had to be a multi-billion-dollar company to do it.
I'm sorry?
You had to be a multi-billion-dollar
Yeah.
company to do it.
A multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody else could afford it.
I'm just thinking because I've got a picture of the Earth, the blue marble,
Mhm.
and the copyright is 1973. So it's fake. I'm just trying to think of how that image. Sorry?
Not necessarily.
No, it's not. No, if it was fake, how would that be done?
How was it taken? I don't know. But, I mean, they had cameras and satellites.
Yeah.
that said-
No, no, there's no satellites. You can't go into space. There's no space.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Or did they paint it on
No,
a
but
canvas?
That was taken by one of the space I can't remember what it was, Voyager.
One of the
whatever.
Voyagers or,
Voyager.
yeah.
And that was the early digital as far as the way
Yeah.
it was transmitted back there.
Okay. Again, I'm thinking, yeah, go ahead.
And I've worked in imaging industry all my life. That's what I've done. Is data pickup. And the cameras that we were working with, or whatever we were doing, the pixel size, the image, the resolution of these cameras and everything, and was, we were working with state of the art, you know, best thing you could get, right? Until you go look at the pictures that came back from Saturn and Voyager spacecraft went out, you go, wait a minute, that thing launched 10 years ago, and this image quality is better than what we can do now. Best stuff you can get on the market. Now, how did that happen?
NASA was
Computer process.
Because the military is
Yeah.
paying big bucks.
Yeah, how does that happen?
NASA was in its
Take a look at the
heyday when
cameras
it
that they
was
had on things like the SR-71.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, those things are huge.
I mean, they're reading license plates on vehicles from
Yeah.
that day. And it's traveling at 3 times the speed of the sound.
Those are analog and film, by the way. Those lenses on those cameras are like this big around.
Right. Yeah. I won't go any further. Just gonna kind of let this simmer for a minute. But, simple question. I got that picture of the Earth. It was on my wall as a kid, 1982. All right, blue marble, Apollo 17. All right, got it from National Geographic. If it was fake, what method would have been used in '73 to fake that image?
Same way I did it.
How's that?
Made a regular.
Paint it?
That's what I did.
well, they,
Paint it.
I still got
they,
it.
they probably took multiple pictures and then stacked them to get the,
Yeah,
the
that's-
clarity.
They were doing that a lot then, and they still are.
Well, take a picture of a model, or how do you do it?
no, they,
No, I know the real thing. I'm just saying, if I didn't want to take the real thing, like just make it look like the real thing.
yeah.
You're saying that the flat earthers are saying we didn't go to the moon, we didn't go to space.
Right.
Why did they get this picture?
Yeah.
Right. Because it looks pretty real. Could they make it, I mean, if you paint it, couldn't you hire somebody to look at it and see that that's paint? I don't know.
No.
You have to ask those guys in Hollywood back there.
All right. Anyway, I digress. Anybody have any other questions, comments? We're wrapping up here.
We gonna be here next month?
I don't know. I don't know. I think so. We're taking it 1 month at a time. So, but anyway, with that, May 15th, well, tomorrow night we have
Bob Lanier.
Bobby Lanier. I'll send a notice out about that if you want to come out to that. Next Friday we've got something, and the eclipse is the 15th. And yeah, just keep an eye on your emails, and well, that we'll just kind of turn it open. If you want to stick around and discuss, you can, and we'll see what we got going on. Now, general comment: we're always looking for speakers, presenters. You know, I'm sure you're getting tired of hearing from me. You're not going to want to hear from me anymore. I don't want to do it. So, if anybody wants to give a presentation or has ideas for speakers, you know, please reach out to us, and or if you have topics you want us to present on or find somebody to present on, please let us know. So, but with that, unless anybody's got any other comments, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Have a good night.